Good morning and welcome to K24 this morning. My name is Jeff Mote. As always, as we start the show, we look at the big stories of the day in your dailies and, of course, get some much-needed analysis and dig deeper as to what those headlines really mean and what it means moving forward as well. Lots to discuss right here on the political front is where we're going to be today. We'd love you to be part of that particular conversation. In case you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your People Daily, I suggest you do that. Front page of the PD right now. State moves to contain hate meetings. National Security Advisory Committee instructs police to arrest and prosecute any person spreading hatred as temperatures rise. This was a presser that was given yesterday. Right at the Harambee House, Joseph Kenya was saying, in pursuit of cheap publicity, these individuals, in attempts to further their selfish political agenda, are inciting the youth. And of course, from there, a raft of measures given as to how these meetings will take place. And even broadcasts, as far as the media is concerned, will take place as well. This is a story that makes front and center in your copy of your People Daily therein. Also on the front page of the PD, Westgate terror suspects to serve time in prison. That's the story that you can get on page 4 of your People Daily. And also many MPs not sitting pretty after Gatondo shock ruling. Of course, as of yesterday, the Katondo North parliamentary seat declared vacant. And of course, as the PD now delves into, very many MPs not sitting pretty because even as they think they have their term up until 2022, even that in itself isn't guaranteed. The details of that in your copy of your People Daily. And if you don't have a copy of your PD, you don't need to leave your house or your office where you're watching us from. You can actually get it straight to your phone right now, wherever you are. And the number that you dial is star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, the number is star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number and get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the PD and Safaricom, so dial it and get yourself a copy therein. And right here on the show, you could get yourself airtime, by the way. The first 10 winners who take a screenshot of their e-paper, send it with their name and where they're watching from to the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen, get themselves 250 shillings worth of airtime, all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. So once again, the number that you dial is star 550 star 4 hash. Download your copy of your e-paper, take a screenshot, and then send that with your name and where you're watching to the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. Let's move it along to the next paper, which is the Daily Nation. Front page of the Daily Nation, Uhuru fires warning shots to halt rebellion. A day after President Kenyatta came back home from a trip in France, the National Security Advisory Committee warned politicians that they will be held to account for utterances at gatherings and on social media. New tough rules for political gatherings, the Daily Nation calls it. You can get the details of that as well in your copy of your Daily Nation. And even as you look at the political intrigues as they play out, private schools fees shocker for parents. Some private schools asking parents to pay full fees even before students resume school, resume learning. Of course, that's supposed to be next week, Monday. So quite a key issue of concern right there. You can get the details on that particular story in your copy of your Daily Nation on page 7. Front page of The Standard, taking a different angle, but the same story politically. They're terming it Taming Ruto. Government announces stringent measures to curb political violence as defiant Deputy President pushes on with campaigns for 2022. That is front and center in your copy of your Standard therein. You can get the details of that there. Also in your Standard, from flooded classrooms to broke schools, parents asking which way forward as far as resumption of learning is concerned. And you can get the details of that particular story in your copy of your Standard. Also in the Standard, Raila and Ruto battle for coast. They say it's a Titans clash. ODM candidate face-off with ally of Deputy President in poll that rekindled the rivalry. Politicians on the front row of Kenyatta's succession. That can be found in your copy of your Standard, and it is on page 8 therein. Finally, from page of The Star, why state wants to stop DP Ruto hustler campaign, they say. NCIC had also warned that hustlers versus dynasties narrative is genocidal. That's what they said. The National Security Advisory Committee indirectly accuses him of taking advantage of poor youth. That story is making front and center in the copy of your Star therein. Also in the Star on page 4 and 5, they're saying it's unbowed. Inside DP Ruto's strategy to capture power. That's what they're talking about right there, front and center of your Star as well. So lots to discuss right here on the show, even as we get into it. As always, my panel very able to give us much needed analysis on what this means as we move forward. We also have a question of the day that we'll be posing to you. Good morning and welcome to K24 this morning. There is a question of the day. How can political parties be held accountable for their actions? How can political parties be held accountable for their actions? It's been a key issue of concern right there. We'd love to have you just chime in on this particular conversation. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. So how can political parties be held accountable for their actions? That's our question of the day. Send that in, even as we discuss that right here. And before I get to my panel, let's just set the stage of what we'll be discussing today. Now, following concerns raised by Kenyans over the death of 2 people on Sunday in Kenol, Murang'a County, during Deputy President William Ruto's visit to the region, the National Security Advisory Council, chaired by Head of Public Service Joseph Kinyua, has directed that all public meetings be held in compliance with the Public Order Act. Now, failure to which culprits will be penalized. Kenya further warned politicians against hoodwinking vulnerable Kenyans in pursuit of their political interests. Let's listen in.
3 days after rival Jubilee factions Keleweke and Tangatanga clashed during Deputy President William Ruto's visit to Kenol in Murang'a County, the National Security Advisory Council, through its chair Joseph Kinyua, has given new directives on how public meetings should be conducted.
The convener or any person intending to hold a public meeting or a public procession shall A, notify the officer commanding station, OCS, that is OCS, of such intent at least 3 days, but not more than 14 days before the proposed date of the public meeting or procession.
According to Kinyua, politicians are fond of inciting and radicalizing the youth, adding that persons who address any public meeting and processions shall be bound by legal penalties, urging Kenyans to report to the authorities any form of incitement.
In pursuit of cheap publicity, these individuals, in attempt to further their selfish political agenda, are inciting the youth who are fearful of their future. They are attempting to radicalize the youth to the point where they have fought and in one tragic incident killed each other.
The media has also been put on spotlight, with Kinyua noting that players in the industry would be held accountable for the content they publish, bordering in the lines of hate speech, equally urging social media users to ensure their content avoids autonomy.
In that regard, every social media user shall ensure that A, all their content is written in a language that avoids a tone and ones that constitute hate speech, ethnic contempt, and incitement to violence, harassment, abuse, defamation, or intimidation.
The Sunday Murang'a clashes left 2 people dead and several others injured. Deputy President William Ruto has since distanced himself from the clashes and asked the police to hold accountable those behind the violence.
Politicians, out of desperation, they've gone to organize young people to cause mayhem, to throw stones, to cause violence, and in the process, their lives have been lost. Those who paid and organized those young people must not only be ashamed of themselves, but they must step forward and support the families of the young people who died.
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Thank you for that, Robbie. That sets the stage for what we'll be discussing right here on the show, and plenty more as well. In studio, joined by Dr. Boni Halwale. Good morning, Daktari.
Good morning, sir.
Karibu sana, welcome to the show.
Very exciting to have Beatrice with me.
Oh yes, and she's excited to have you in studio as well. It's
really?
A good show.
She had run away because of her big job.
Which big
now
job?
She's jobless, she's back to me.
Wait, who? I'm not jobless. Who told you I'm jobless?
Jobless in the...
We'll be getting to that in just a bit.
No, I resigned. Bonnie, you are the one who is so jobless. You are denied votes in Kakamega. You become jobless. You are running around like a headless
chicken. Before we go there, ladies and gentlemen, we also have Madam Beatrice Elachi. Good morning, Madam Elachi.
Morning. How are you? I'm jobless. I resigned. That's how you call women with dignity. You will respect me, my friend.
We have another woman as well joining the conversation virtually, Millie Lwanga, governance expert. As you can see, things have started on a very hot note. Good morning, Millie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
As you can see, what we're discussing a definite political hot potato right now. And let's just start from the very beginning, because it has so many facets as to how to look at this. And let's start with the ruling party, Jubilee. Because even as it stands right now, very many people asking, where is there disorder within this particular party? What is going wrong? What's the problem? Let me start with Elachi on this one. For people on the outside looking in, they don't understand. There needs to be some sort of order. You have a vice chair who says one thing. You have a deputy party leader saying another thing. There's talk of him being removed as deputy party leader. What is ailing this ruling party? What's going on?
Well, it's as simple as this. In the ruling party, we have just refused to agree and respect rule and order. In the ruling party, we've just refused, because we know very well the Political Parties Act has indeed guidance and requirements on how each one of us should work within our parties and respect our parties. And if you feel you want to engage in an ideology of another party, again, the political parties has given measures that if you indeed engage in that other ideology, then the party has a right to move you, to suspend you, and to even expel you. And so for me, one of the things we must agree as a country, because I know even my governor will talk about it from his party, that it is wrong for us, regardless of what is happening, to disregard your own constitution of the party. And you agreed to be in this party. So if you feel this party, the rules and regulations are not conforming to what you want to do, then you have a right to also remove yourself from that party.
Right. So
for me, anyone who decided you want to be a Jubilee member, I remember when we were bringing Jubilee together, I being as a member, as a Secretary General of the Alliance Party of Kenya, I mean, we sat down, 50 of us, and we looked at every role on how we are going to ensure we package and come up with this Jubilee. So if we have come up with regulations that this is how we have to run the party, and within that constitution, we gave all the powers to the party leader. And so we can't come and complain again. We have to amend that constitution for us now to say we have amended and therefore it can work for us. But for now, the way we prepared the constitution of Jubilee, the party leader in Article 9 takes nearly all. He is the person who you have, if you want to do anything, party leader.
Right.
You get. So for now, Jubilee can't complain. You can only complain when you go into a room and re-amend your own constitution so that you can feel it now has some of the regulations that you'd want to have within that constitution.
Okay, Daktari, then I'll come to you. Was it then probably a lack of foresight that we might find ourselves in such a situation when we were putting this constitution together in the first place? Because from what Madam Elachi is saying, it's almost the same scenario with government in the sense that you have a president and a deputy president, or in county governments, a governor and a deputy governor. In Jubilee, a party leader and a deputy party leader, and the deputy's role really isn't defined. You know, if the party leader doesn't give him something to do or her something to do, then largely they wait and bid their time.
I am in a very good position to answer that question.
Which position, and you're not a member of Jubilee?
Because I am no longer outside Jubilee. When I used to do a lot of critique and criticizing of Jubilees because I was not inside. But now I'm inside, but watch out. The noise you're hearing is not coming from the living room where I'm currently standing. It's coming from the kitchen.
Who's in the kitchen?
The kitchen. There's so much kitchen. I mean, there's so much noise from the kitchen. In the kitchen, you find Tuju, you find Murade, you find Speaker Elachi, Sabina Chege. They are making so much noise in there, but it's okay. There can be a lot of noise from the kitchen and food comes on the table. It doesn't matter. Now, let me tell you, there is nothing wrong with the owners of Jubilee. The problem is with the employees of Jubilee. The owners of Jubilee are the same ones who ensured that they created an institution that has proved itself politically. Now, the employees want to take the constitution to the bad old days when political parties belonged to party leaders. So they push every day to make Jubilee look like it's President Uhuru's property. I'm glad that up to now, President Uhuru has steered clear of those things. I'm glad that up to now, Deputy President has steered clear of those things. If only they would just do one thing. They rein in on these employees. Can you imagine a situation whereby an employee is sacking the employer? You saw an employee called Tuju saying that they were going to get rid of the deputy president, who is his employee. Tuju is paid by the contributions made by members of parliament and county assembly members on a monthly basis. So he should be the last person to disrespect those elected leaders. That's what I'll say for now.
Okay. Let me get Millie Lwanga in on this one as well, even as we look at the dynamics of this ruling party. Some people are saying, even as we see, this push and pull happening, some are not coming to this particular conversation with clean hands. The Star reported a couple of days back, Didmas Baraza, talking about the fact that they will leave Jubilee, but they leave Jubilee having, left the party in shambles. So clearly, they're not really here to restore the party. They want to bring it to its knees and move to another vehicle. What's your take on this party? How do they get it back on the right track, if at all it is possible?
What will happen, believe? Can you hear me?
Just continue talking. Honestly, if I can hear you.
I think what we are seeing is a clear indication of the problem we have with political parties in Kenya. You find that many are...
Okay. There's a small technical issue on that sound issue. I'll come back to Millie on that one. Let me pose that same question right here. Because even at this particular point in time, Madam Elachi, you are seeing a point of view where most people would have thought the solution to this is have a PG meeting, call everybody together, sort this out. But from where it stands right now, we are way past that. How do you get this back together? Because you said the constitution is clear where we stand. How do you get this party back on track? And does it make it to the finish line? Because we've already had, like I asked Millie, some members of the party are planning their exit already. Does it make it to 2022 and beyond?
Well, I would say two things. One, my governor here should understand that one, Tuju is a Secretary General of this party. And being the SG of the party, he also has his mandate as the SG on what is supposed to be done. And as I said, until we reorganize the constitution of Jubilee, we will come here, Jeff, we will say all our ventilate and all do that. But what does the book say? And that is the spirit and the letter of the Jubilee party. That's what we follow. That even the SG, whatever he says, has to conform with what the party leader has said. Mm-hmm. And so he cannot just wake up and say something without relooking at what does the Constitution say. And I'm hoping he follows that Constitution of Jubilee. But then when I hear my senator or governor that we have those who want to leave, as I said, it is your right. He has left, he left in 2013, he knows he vied in which party, he came, he left, he is now in another. So you have a right, if you feel your strength and whatever you believe in is not being conducted in according to your wish within that party, you have a right, and the Constitution gives you that right to leave the party. Mm-hmm. And that is why I would say it is important for us, without bringing the politics that we have and the sideshows that we have, first of all, go back to the document that we all agreed on, that this will be our guiding document. This is our Constitution. And therefore, the Constitution says one. So you might hate someone, you might blame someone, you might blame the workers, But they are, it is according to the letter of the Constitution that they are within what they are doing.
Okay.
And to say about the workers, I think we've also split them. You know, it's good to be honest. We've decided to split them. So we have those who believe in the deputy, is it the deputy SG? And then we have those who believe in SG. So, you know, you've split the party in quite in the middle. So either one can decide to leave.
Right.
It's up to them. Those who don't believe, they feel that we are now being discriminated and curtailed, and we cannot be able to exercise our duties within this party. You have a right to leave.
Let me get Millie in on this before I come to you, Daktari, for your rejoin on that.
Yeah.
Millie, if you can hear me now, of course, we're talking about the fact that already it seems like the writing is on the wall. Some members saying that they'll leave this party on their knees before they move to another party for 2022. This had been reported in the Star a couple of days back, Didmas Baraza's utterances. What's your assessment of Jubilee's health? Does it make it past 2022, or do people need to get new vehicles, politically speaking?
You may be surprised that it will live beyond 2022. And I say this because many people get surprised when they hear that PNU still exists. And DP, particularly DP.
Again, there's a bit of feedback still there as well. I think we'll still have to just sort out that audio issue right there. Daktari, you had a rejoinder on what Madam Elachi had said.
No, what I wanted to say is I have seen my able former colleague in the Senate go back again and again to the issue of the Constitution of Jubilee. I mean, if it is because of the Constitution of Jubilee that we are seeing this vicious difference between those people who are anti and for the deputy president, then, for God's sake, replace that constitution with a Bible. Look, how could those differences be allowed by the sober people who are involved to spill into what happened in Murang'a? That was extremely unfortunate. And because the anti-Ruto Jubilee faction is the one which is in bed with the criminal gang called the Deep State. They are the ones who are in a position to request for and acquire the tools of violence that we saw in Kenol. Namely, they were able to mobilize youth. They were able to prevail upon the police to stay clear of the mobilized youth so that the youth could attempt to block us from going there. You need a bit of influence to be able to control the security organs to that extent. And to make it worse, they were able to influence the security to go and invade a church, which they actually dispersed using tear gas. This must be condemned, Beatrice. Beatrice, let me give you a small reminder. You remember when you were laughing at me and Madama and Wetangula?
When is that?
And Wetangula and Janet Ongero, when we went to the National Assembly to insist that we should not interfere with the security laws. You said we were being foolish. You people beat us up. You tore our clothes. You succeeded. But now we are going through the consequences of the laws that you amended. If the miscellaneous security amendment bill had not been enacted, some of the things we saw in Murang'a would not have taken place. Okay. So, Beatrice, it always pays in politics, and especially if you are in a position to do something, to do the right thing.
We're almost getting to our first break, Daktari. On that particular note, I want to find out, because as of yesterday, the National Security Council giving measures on how to move forward.
Yes.
Do you feel now we won't have any more instances? They've dealt with that particular issue of Kenol adequately as far as political rallies are concerned?
Yes, what I heard King was pronouncing was nothing new. They're the same things they have said before. In fact, he was wasting time addressing the nation. That was an in-house function that he should have carried to the security organs. He should have been addressing Matiang'i, Kibicho, and the IG. And in the process, make it transmitted to all the security organs across the Republic. Why? Because what you're witnessing is state-engineered violence. I can assure you, when I see them having arrested little boys, like a boy in Kibra called Ochanda, it's laughable. Because Ochanda is a small boy who I saw in Kisii wearing DP Ruto's t-shirt. I saw him in Bungoma when we were there. I saw him in Bungoma. I was actually there with him. And when I found him in Murang'a, I was not surprised. If there should have been anybody mobilizing people like those, then it should have been us. But I beg, and Beatrice helped me on this one. How would Alice and Ndindi Nyoro invite the deputy president to empower their church and then create a faction of youth to disrupt their function and create another faction of another youth to stop that disruption and go on and put on police uniform, acquire canisters of tear gas and throw them into the church? They couldn't. The only people who could do all those things I'm saying is the police. And because I've done it before, on me, Beatrice, the police for the last 3 months have been tear gassing me everywhere in Kakamega. In fact, I apologized on the pulpit that maybe it is the omen of my being tear gassed by the police that wrapped itself on Murang'a when I came into their church.
Daktari, we'll have to take a break at that particular point.
It is not necessary.
I am saying
and before Beatrice cuts me short, we insist those 2 children who died. Matiang'i might not believe it, and I hear he's a Christian. I hear he's a parent. Matiang'i, those children are just children of God, like the ones your wife has given birth to.
Okay, quick rejoinder, Madam Beatrice, just 2 seconds as we go into a break.
When we look at all this, it's very unfortunate. And as Bonnie says, the Bible, I am surprised because my deputy believes in the Bible. I do not understand where Bonnie are taking the deputy at this time in this journey. But if this is his journey, then he needs to go back on his knees and look upon the same God he believes in and ask all these questions. Bonnie is forgetting it is in the same Murang'a. Again, that time, it was just within the church again, in the same constituency. Again, people bullied each other. People fought in that church. That time they were themselves, isn't it? So it can happen. So for him to tell me, why didn't he stand and tell the police before even they arrive in Murang'a, we know you are going to change the uniforms. We know you have mobilized this. See, he normally does that. For Kakamega, I know my governor-to-be loves the theatrics. So for him, in Kakamega, he would love people to be tear gassed, but this time I want to tell him, do not go that route, my governor. Do not.
I'll take a short break at that particular point in time. After the break, as we come, we discuss this particular measures put in place as of yesterday, moving forward. What does this mean for political rallies, even as it moves forward? Some papers talking about that they're specifically aiming at Deputy President. Front page of the Standard calling it taming Ruto. Front page of the Star, why state wants to stop DP Ruto hustler campaign. We discussed that after the break, even as we look at how these political wrangles are spilling over into the main public arena as well. Don't forget, you can also get a copy of your People Daily. It's only 10 shillings. The number that you dial, *550*4#. And after the break, we take a look at our question of the day. Of course, that's asking, how can political parties be held to more accountability as far as this is concerned? Let's have that up on screen. How can political parties be held and be more accountable for their actions? How can political parties be held more accountable for their actions? That's what we need to know. Send us your WhatsApp messages. We look at that after the break. This is K24 This Morning.